Welcome. We're on the red couch with Autumn Doughton, Amazon bestselling author of young adult and new adult fiction, including In This Moment. Autumn made the unusual leap from running a pottery business and being dubbed the Clay Lady to following her dreams to becoming a successful self-published author. Autumn, I am so thrilled to have you on the red couch.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So have you always wanted to be an author?
Yes, I think that has always been something that's been in my heart. I'm a reader. I love stories, but I think it was almost expected of me. So when I went to college, I sort of went the opposite from that because also it seemed so unobtainable.
Yeah. Did you have pressure from your parents or not really?
Well, I think that they knew that I was drawn to a creative lifestyle. So yes, I mean, I think that they would say, oh, she's going to be an author, but not in a negative way at all.
So now your books, and you have 3 and 1 coming.
Correct.
They're all about like young adults and their struggles. So how did you get interested in that particular genre?
Well, it's certainly fun to wake up in the morning and pretend to be 19 again. So I love sitting down at my computer and getting in that mindset. But also I'm very drawn to stories that are about navigating through life's twists and turns. And I think that young adults are experiencing those things for the very first time. And there's a wonder in that. So I'm really attracted to that.
Yeah, and it almost seems like that time, I mean, that was such a intense time.
Right.
But then you don't really have the experience of looking back.
Right. You're experiencing a lot of those emotions and those things for the first time. Friends stabbing you in the back, you know, having your heart broken, and also the good things, falling in love, finding out what you want to do with your life. And so there's a rawness to those feelings, but yeah, you don't have the perspective of being 35 and looking back at your teenage self. You're dealing with it in that moment.
Right. So if you could speak to teens and young adults and it's young men and women, right, in the books?
Yeah. I mean, my main characters do tend to be women, but my last book was dual point of view, and so it was the male perspective and the female perspective.
Oh, that's really cool.
So that was fun.
So, but if you could talk to that age group, those, you know, it's such an intense time, it's such an exciting time,
Right.
But do you have like any, I don't know, words of wisdom or advice that you would offer them that maybe you didn't know yourself?
Definitely. That's something that I ask myself when I sit down in the morning at my laptop. Like, what is my point here? I'm telling a fun story. I want people to be entertained, but I also have a message. And definitely, I think each book has its own themes, but the overall theme, I think, that is underlying through all of my stories is you can overcome anything, any obstacle your way, as long as you have people in your corner and, you know, integrity, that you can overcome anything.
So I've heard you say that writing for you is really therapeutic. It's like therapy.
Yeah, it is.
Free therapy.
Free therapy.
It's even better. So in what way do you consider it therapy?
Well, when I sit down in the morning, the characters are not me, but every character has a piece of me inside of him or her. And so I put myself through the emotions that they're going through. I mean, even if I've never had that specific experience, I imagine what would I do. Now, the characters don't always make my choices, but I've worked through how I would handle different situations, and that's therapeutic. Also, when my main character was a 17-year-old going through a heartbreak, I got out my yearbooks, you know, and I sat down with him, and I really remembered, and I put myself through those emotions all over again. And I mean, that is therapeutic, to experience those emotions, simulate them basically.
So has it helped you in terms of just like resolving things in your own mind about your life? Like when you look back and think, yes, close that door or whatever.
Absolutely. And there are things when you look back on your teenage years, your college years as an adult, that you see things completely differently. And I, you know, now as an adult with children of my own and a career and all these kind of things, I look back and I do see that whole entire world differently. So I look at it from that perspective.
So I know you said it's not, the characters aren't you. Who's going to be in the book?
It's a mixture of fantasy and reality. It can be as small as I'm sitting at a restaurant with my mom or, you know, having a coffee, and someone has a conversation next to us and I'm an observer. I will, I overhear, that
eavesdrop.
Yeah, eavesdrop. Exactly. I'll get
Observer
sparked.
better.
Yeah, I'll get sparked with something, and then, that will lead to, it ruminates in my brain. I think about it and I create the plots around that. But I also do pull from my life as well. The characters are oftentimes based on friends or people that I've encountered, the good and the bad. Yeah. And sometimes I'll take bits and pieces and sort of make a person from two people. And I'll usually, if it's good, I'll tell them. If it's bad, not so much.
Yeah, don't mention it.
Yeah, exactly.
So this clay business, the pottery business, was kind of, how long were you in that?
My best friend and I owned the store together for 7 years. And that was a whim, basically. I mean, I graduated from college, and I, like most people in that position these days, really didn't know what I wanted to do, how to take what I had learned and make it into a reality. And I was, having lunch with a friend, and she said, "There's this store for sale. Wouldn't it be fun?" And I said, "Let's do it." And I mean, it was crazy. I woke up the morning of the closing thinking, what exactly am I doing here? And the two of us, neither of us had owned a business or a retail space, and just together, we made it happen. We became employers. We had to figure out taxes and ordering and dealing with angry customers and dealing with wonderful customers, and just the balance of owning your own business and having nobody to go to. I mean, there was no boss. It was us. So that was a really interesting experience and a confidence builder. And then I was ready to do what I had always wanted to do. I think that had been burbling inside of me. And so I look at it almost like a stepping stone to the next part of my life.
So while you were in the pottery business, had you been dabbling in writing? Had you been doing little pieces?
Yeah, I had written about 4 books. I had deleted 3 of them. Just
deleted,
gone. Deleted the manuscripts. I did them. My husband is in computers, so I'm sure he could probably go back, but I would write them, and then I would think, what am I going to do with this? This isn't good enough. I don't want to even tell anybody. And then I wrote 1 book, and a 4th book, and it was sitting on my laptop, probably ready to be trashed. And music has always been a really big part of my life. I love, music and going to concerts and all that kind of stuff. And my favorite band was going to be in town that night. I was going to the concert, and I went on a jog with my dog, and I was, just going along, listening to them, like I had the earphones in.
Right.
And I looked up, and it's the lead singer. No joke. It's
in person while you're walking your dog.
And I recognize immediately, and and he says, "Beautiful dog," speaks to me. And I did absolutely nothing. I did nothing. I didn't say hi. I didn't ask for an autograph. I just it just went by. And, for the next few days, I woke up every morning and I just had this pit in my stomach. Not because I didn't get the autograph or the picture, but because I felt like it was a metaphor for my life. Like, here I am, I'm handed, who gets that chance? I mean, it's not going to happen again. And I got it, and I just let it go. And it was the same thing. I knew I had this manuscript on my laptop, and I just wasn't doing anything with it. So really, within a week, I had self-published my first manuscript, and I had told my friend that I owned the store with, you know what, I just don't want to do this anymore. And nobody was mad at me. Nobody was disappointed. I mean, it was great. It was the push I needed. It was the aha moment.
So the aha moment was this realization that you had all these missed opportunities in your life.
Right, that I had been given them. Right. Yeah, I had been I just handed to me, but I was choosing because of fear of, getting a 1-star review or someone not liking me, telling people what I felt like and what I wanted. I was holding back on those things because of this fear of what might happen. Like, I might have asked for an autograph and he might have said, "No, I'm busy," and okay. I mean, that was the lesson. Is I looked at it in terms of my whole life, of how I was given chances and I was choosing not to take them. And I'm a mother, and I realized that I didn't want to tell my daughters to be bold and to do things. I wanted to show them. Mm. And I realized that if I didn't do the things I really wanted to do, that I wasn't really showing them.
So what were some of the things that you were afraid of? You were afraid of people not liking the book?
Yeah, and in turn, in my mind, that meant me. I mean, I think I think that people have this, a lot of people have this fear of being rejected, being not liked. And it's funny, the band that I'm speaking of, they have this line that if you're loved by someone, you're never rejected. And I had to sort of realize that. I had to really believe that. But yeah, there was this fear of failing, this fear of putting yourself out there and having it not work.
Right, because no matter what it is, it's part of you. It's like your creative genius showing up. And
well, I don't know about genius, but yeah.
Obviously genius. You're doing amazingly well.
Well, the woman that I owned the store with, we used to have this thing where we would say, for taking risks, that could we look back if it totally went splat? If we looked back 5 years later, will our lives be ruined? And I would say that, but I don't think I was really living that. And then I decided to live it. So I decided to just put it all out there and say, well, here I am.
So how did you decide to self-publish? I mean, there's so many ways to go.
Probably that started out as part of this, fear of putting yourself out there. It was easier. I mean, that's how it started. And not for the second and third books. Now that I know that I have readers, now it's a responsibility because it's editing, you're your own PR firm, you're all of those things. But the first time, I think I was afraid to, contact an agent and say, I was afraid to hear no, all those things. So that's definitely how it started out. But it's funny now that I'm doing it, it's almost the opposite because I don't have all of those people guiding me along. I'm figuring it out all on my own. So, and with the help of some fantastic indie writers, I've made some great friends this year. Other writers all over the world. I have a friend in Australia. All over the country. That are all
self-published.
Yes, and we have a group, and we beta read each other's books. We share editing information and on cover designers, and we're going to book signings together and stuff like that. So it's definitely that's probably been the best part of my year. Wow. Is making friends with these women who are so supportive and wonderful.
It sounds like you're all each other's cheerleaders, and you all root for each other.
We are in the same genre, but we've definitely taken this attitude that, girls compete, women empower, and we're going to empower each other. And I say your success is my success, and my success is your success, because now I have more people reading, and I will tell them, that you're wonderful. And so we definitely have taken that stance, and it's been wonderful.
Well, what's so interesting to me is that everybody, probably if our eyes are open and we look around, we see all these possible opportunities that are given to us. So it's a matter of just noticing them, right?
Right, and I think that it's probably different for everybody. I think that I had this already burbling up inside of me, so I needed just, that little shove to put it in perspective, in something tangible that I could feel such disappointment in myself. That's how I felt. And I think that everybody has to go through that, and you do have to then make the choice. Well, you were disappointed in yourself. What are you going to do about it? Are you just going to continue, or are you going to make the change for whatever it is you want to try?
So you did something really cool on your blog. You came up with these 13 realizations. So I don't know, was that one of them? The realization of
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, as long as you're nice to people and kind and good and generous, I do think that this has sort of been my golden year of, not in any sort of traditional success, but in terms of being who I want to be. That's been my goal. And yes, that missed opportunity, those big changes that have sort of catapulted me into that. But definitely I've been contacted about that blog post a lot. And the best part is how similar everybody feels. People, I think, feel restricted and that they can't make those changes, and that most people are afraid of people not liking them. That's been the number one thing that people have responded to me, because one of my realizations was, not everyone's going to like you. It doesn't matter what you do. It's just not going to happen. And so you don't always have to be a people pleaser. One time, a woman backed into me in the parking lot, backed into me, and I paid for her car because she was a stranger, but I didn't want her to be, upset or not like me. And I mean, I look back on that and I'm like, what was I thinking? But, I think that we just have to accept that. I do encourage kindness and generosity and, being positive, but don't let it hold you back. Those fears of pleasing everybody, you can't let it hold you back from living the life that you want to live.
So the minute you write something, there's people that criticize you, they judge you, there's reviews, they're not always good. How have you dealt with that?
Well, that is one of the most interesting things of this whole experience, because if you had asked me a year ago how I would react to that, I would probably tell you that I would roll on the floor and cry when somebody said I was stupid or they hated it or whatever. I mean, it's the idea of it was emotional even to consider that. But the thing is, in reality, it doesn't feel great to have someone dislike you, but I don't like everything. And I think that I'm a pretty positive person and I'm really easygoing and I do look for the good in things, but I certainly don't like every book I read or every person I meet. And I really had to realize that. I had to put that in perspective. And you can't expect that if everyone likes everything you're doing, you're probably not doing something right. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And so
that's a good motto.
I think it was the fear of being rejected or disliked or, getting a bad review, that was worse than the actual event.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it really was.
So new authors, people that want to start writing or they have ideas, what would you say to them to kind of encourage them to go for it?
Right. I get asked this a lot. And my number one thing is to meet other people that are doing the same thing that you want to do. And that probably applies to all areas, not even just writing, especially, creative fields. But definitely getting a sphere of people around you that are interested in the same things in your genre, because you get feedback. I mean, the first time I wrote a book, I didn't share it with anybody before I published it.
Right.
The second time I shared it with 15 people. The third time I shared it with 40. And I think the results speak for themselves. When you put yourself out there and you open yourself up to positive, feedback and negative feedback at the same time, you can see what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And so you grow from that. So that's the number one thing. And also just, you have to go one word at a time. I mean, some days I write 5,000 words and some weeks I write one word. I mean, it's a process, and it's 90,000 words, and it happens one at a time. And that is something, people say when you're growing up, step by step by step, and it's just a cliche, but it's real. It's real. You just have to keep going, write every day.
And very practical.
Yeah.
So you have a new novel. Can you tell us about it, or are you not allowed to?
No, it's not that I'm not allowed. I'm hoping that I'll have my fourth book out early winter 2014, so either January or early February. And this has been a fun story. I'm in progress. I actually made a bunch of changes recently, so I sort of it wasn't feeling real enough, so I had to make some changes. But I'm really having a fun time writing about my characters, in this case, are not broken or dysfunctional in any way. It's the external forces that they're dealing with. So I'm having fun writing about characters that have, spunk and gumption and don't need to be saved. And so that's sort of been, I think in the young adult and the new adult genre, there does tend to be, this idea to focus on these broken people. And I'm having fun. I mean, I'm guilty of that as well, but I'm having fun writing characters that aren't broken, that are people that I would really want to hang out with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds really fun.
Yeah.
So if you had a juicy secret to living a happy and successful life, what would it be?
Wow, that's hard. I would say that probably everybody is a little bit different. And when I look at my own life, I see myself as a bunch of pieces. I'm mom, I'm a writer, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm all a housekeeper, not a very good one. I'm all of these things, and I have to think, what is the glue that holds those pieces together? And I would say that definitely, in my experience, it's friendships. I've had some wonderful friendships. for my whole life, people that build me up and make me more me. And I think that that's what gives me the courage to not be affected by criticisms or, things that I don't like. I think that it's the friendships.
So obviously it'd be great if every one of us had like these couple of best friends that are totally supportive, and not all of us do. I do. I'm super lucky. I feel totally blessed, so I can appreciate that. But if you aren't one of those people, you feel more disconnected or more lonely, like what should people look for in a best friend or in a person that's really supportive of them, has their back?
Exactly, has your back. When I look at my best friends, I know that they can be honest with me and tell me the things that I don't want to hear, but it's from a good place because they want me to be the best me that I can be. And I think that unfortunately, you do come across people in your life that don't want you to be the best you because they, there's a fear, this competition, these things going on. And I would say to get rid of those people, not have them be in your life. But my friends, my true friends, want me to be the best version of myself and help me get there. They give me the confidence. They, empower me.
That's great. Yeah, it's so important. It's such a gift to have those people.
Yes, it is. I'm so blessed in that way.
Well, I am so excited about your fourth book,
thank you.
I wish you tons of success on every level, and I hope you have a lot of fun and keep on writing.
Well, thank you. It is fun. It's definitely fun.
Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It was great.
Thank you for joining us
on the Red Couch.